one of the ladies came across it and said surgery. And the weird thing was, Gary, I have never had surgery in my life. And about 2 weeks later, I needed emergency kidney surgery.
Oh, wow.
So it really struck, and we have never, ever did another SB7 in a cemetery. That was the first and last time.
Right.
And it was very, 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 and just shook me. It shook me.
Yep.
So
Now,
that was something that, I mean, that movie, when you hear it in the movie, you actually have to replay it a few times just to get it, to actually get it and go, whoa, that was really deep.
now, do you guys ever use like recorders to record the?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, have you found which are better, using magnetic tape or using digital?
Depends.
Well,
I would say it depends.
Well, the last couple of investigations we did, we used magnetic tape, and we seem to get better responses with the magnetic tape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Your old
and
school.
the old school, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And digital works, but the magnetic tape, for some reason, they're more attracted, I think, to magnetic field, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was wondering on that because my friend Art Bell, he used to have this man and woman on, and they did a lot of, cemetery recordings. And I tell you, it was really eerie when you hear a little kid cry, or you hear somebody say hi, or you say, hey, why are you here? I mean, it was kind of eerie.
Yeah, it can be. It can actually throw you off balance for quite some time if you're at all inside of a box. Paranormal research will bust the walls down, and sometimes it will make you feel like your purpose is gone because everything starts to open up to a degree that you cannot understand it, especially for people who are beginning. They're unable to understand that we were somewhere before we were here, and obviously we're going somewhere after. And that's the thing that happens with the type of research that we do.
Now, the recordings, and when you do go these places, now, are these the people that actually didn't go to the light? Because, I've had a lot of guests on the show, that had near-death or actual death experiences where one individual, like R.W. Wells, was dead for like 8-9 minutes, and they revived him. And he, was telling us a story how he went into the light, and then he saw his past life flash by, and then he saw, a lot of interesting things, but then he was told he had to go back. Now, when you get these recordings or you get the thing off of spirit boxes, are these the people it didn't go into the light or they didn't go to the next level and they're still trapped here on Earth?
Well, Gary, we both have separate opinions on that, me and Madam. We'll watch, a show or whatever, or we'll be on an investigation, and, we'll get that, I'll get that clear, spirit talking to me through, EVP or spirit box, and I'll go to Madam like, why the heck are they still here? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it eats at me like, why are they still here? What are they doing? They got to go. They got to move. They got to do this. They got to do that. And, and she has a different take on it, of course. Go ahead, Madam.
Actually, we're all in theory here. We're in theory.
Tell me about it.
None of the theories have been proven, and it's a lot of things with the paranormal. As I always say, till it's disproven, then we have work to do.
Well, you know what? I hate to say this, Madam, but one day we will all find out, won't we?
Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly. But, for me, I go back and forth with things that I've learned since I was a small child, and we're talking generations of women in my family who are extremely gifted, and I always go back to the clairgustance, or just knowing the answer to everything before it happens. And that's the bad part about being psychic as I am. The level that I'm at is not typical. So when him and I do investigations, we have the cop side, law enforcement, battle against the metaphysical person that I am. And I always just say, I was always taught that children are never left behind, ever. And if they are under the age of prepubescence, then they would not be left behind. But if they are past that age, then they would remain by choice, or other actions would keep them earthbound. But him and I will go back and forth about it because in several cases we've had little kids that, for example, here's a good one. Here's a really good story. In one of my shops one night, we were doing an investigation very, very late. It was about 3:15 in the morning. And we had a few people who were taking shots out in the courtyard. No one was around. There's a cemetery adjacent to the shop. And one of the guest investigators kept saying, well, we're getting a child. And you could hear what sounded like a child coming across the SB7, and there was also a recording of it. So this guy kept snapping pictures, and I said, I'm telling you, that is not a child. And it just is not. And so we go and put this stuff in. We rush in after the investigation. We stick his SD card into a laptop, and we pull it up. Okay? Talk about a disgusting image that came across that. It certainly was not a child.
It wasn't a child.
However, it was holding a rabbit, and we still have that picture. And I'm telling you, when I saw it, I told JB, I said, get it off of my computer, and don't ever speak of that again here at the shop, because it was about a 4-foot tall figure with elongated arms, super long claws. It was clutching a rabbit in one hand, and it had a doll in the other hand, but it had an adult face. It had a jaw that it was extended, and it had hollow eyes that it looked like you could look into the next world. I mean, it was absolutely, I remember that being super scary, and then some things happened to that guy who had taken those pictures.
Right.
He started having some
issues,
some very
with his
strange
vehicle,
stuff. Yes.
with his health.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
He had bad karma. He had real bad karma from it.
It sounds like it was a demon.
Yep. That's exactly what we said.
It was one of the stranger photos that we have ever looked into.
Quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, people send us a lot too, but that one in particular turns you inside out a little bit because again, you're looking at something that you really can't really put an actual identification on it, except for it's not a kid, It's something else.
They have a tendency trying to trick you. Madam, I got to ask you a question. My first wife, going back many years ago, I'm 68 years old. My first marriage was like when I was 20. I didn't know it till after we got married. She was a witch. She was into the Ouija board. She had her little coven. One day I came home from work early, and they were sitting there, with the lights off, the candles, the whole everything. That's when I found out what was going on. And I tell you, for the 2.5 years I was married to her, it was like hell almost every day. But there's two types of witches, I assume, but she was practicing on the dark side. And, I tell you, it just, it was scary.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can tell you for me personally, having the lineage that I have that goes back to the Salem witch trials to Elizabeth Proctor, I never cast a spell, and I can tell you why. And the answer to that is I simply do not have to. It's like a thought becomes an action, and the action actually is a movement. So, for example, when I first met JB doesn't want to admit this. He probably doesn't want me to tell the story, but I'm going to tell it real quick.
Please do. Take your time. Let's embarrass him.
Now, when I first met him, we had met over like Facebook, and he said, "Can you come out to an investigation at this farmhouse out in it was like Lancaster County or something?"
Yeah, Lancaster County.
And I said, "Sure, I'll come out." But anyway, so him and we hit it off, and we started, to have a friendship and all. And one time we got into it a little bit, and guess what? He irritated me so bad, and I know what I'm capable of, so I tried to always bring it back to a normal level of, peace. So he's going up and down these steps to an apartment because he's a bachelor and everything, and he's got this apartment with these stairs, and he's running up and down them, and for weeks everything was fine. And the one night we had gotten into it a little bit because he's really strong-headed. He really, really got to me one night, and I lost my temper, and I said, "You're going to break your leg."
Oh, boy.
And 30 minutes later, I had left the property. He calls and he says, I broke my leg. And I actually just sat there because I knew it was not, he was telling me what had happened, and he did. He fell down the back steps, broke his leg, and on top of it was caring for my cat and dropped a litter box full of cat litter all over him.
Sorry, JB.
And broke his leg.
Yep.
On top of it.
Ankle, three places, Gary. 3 places.
Yeah, tore him up. But that's the thing with me. It's like you kind of have to, and I don't practice dark, and I don't practice anything in particular, but it's more like I understand above the normal person's understanding for the world itself. And that is, at the end of the day, you're on a planet that's spinning 1,300 miles per hour counterclockwise. What do you think this is? This is not reality. This is partial reality, and it can be manipulated and deleted and edited and everything else. So now he's very, very, very careful with me, and I always know too much. And it does get tiring at times.
I got to butt in here, though.
Shut it down and just be normal.
JB, I got to ask you a question. Okay, here you fell off the stairs. You dumped the litter box on you, which is probably worse than breaking your leg, no offense.
Yeah.
Did you have any reservations in going out or seeing her again after that?
Well, let's just say, what's funny is my son, he's 17 now, but he was only 8 or 9 at that point. And he came out and started crying. So here I am trying to hobble up the steps. I straightened out my ankle. I had to straighten it out. So, of course, that hurt. So now I've got to crack a joke to get my son to stop crying, who's only 8 years old, because he knows I hurt myself. So I said, man, phew, and I dumped the poop all over me from the cat. So, of course, he bust out laughing then. But the whole time I'm in agony, going to myself, I'm going to get you, woman. I'm going to get you. I know.
Yeah, but it never, ever works. It never works because I know everything that's going to happen before it happens.
Yep.
So he never has a chance, Gary. He never has a chance.
I got to ask you, JB, another question. You were in law enforcement, okay? Now, knowing what you know about the paranormal, all the strange events it's going on, and the things that has gone on with Madam, I'm sorry, Della. I lost my train of thought. An old Alzheimer's coming in. But, have you ever thought about, I don't know what type of law enforcement you were in, but look at all the things that have happened, what people do, crimes they have committed. Maybe some of these people that have gone to prison were innocent because they were controlled by demons or taken, their thoughts were taken over.
That is what we do have another cop on our team too, and we look at all aspects of everything that goes on when we do an investigation. We'll do a little research, some history, and we'll see what's going on, and we'll see the reactions or why this person was in jail, or a lot of times me and Madam will look at somebody on the TV, and we just look at each other, and we'll go, look, his eyes were blue one minute, and now they're black. Hint, hint.
Yeah. But have you ever...
We'll look at each other, and we'll go, he's a demon.
Yeah, but have you ever thought, though, going back, that if anybody got prosecuted from, being arrested or whatever, have you ever thought about maybe they were innocent, that they were under some type of control?
Oh yeah, there's several times, where you slap the cuffs on somebody and they're babbling or whatever in the back of your car, and you go, what's going on with you? And they start just babbling. They don't even really want to talk to you, and you know that something's wrong with them. And sometimes it's not mental illness; it's something else. And being in the paranormal field, you got to look at all aspects. And I go, you can tell other cops that are in the paranormal field and they'll agree with you, but then you can tell the cops that are skeptical and they're like, no way, man, he's just nuts,
Yeah.
That type of. Yep.
Yeah, I've had I had a medium on my show that she actually had one of her clients come into her place. She did a reading, and then after the reading was over, the next morning she noticed she had scratch marks on her, and she knew she didn't do it. And she was sitting there talking to her boyfriend like the day after that, and all of a sudden, while she's talking to him, a big